Have you ever been casually scrolling through your phone,
Hmm.
maybe just filling a few idle minutes,
Right.
and suddenly you realize you feel, well, significantly worse about yourself than you did just 5 minutes ago?
Yeah, you start out perfectly content.
Exactly. But a few swipes later, you're sitting there with this sinking feeling, this feeling that everyone else is living a vibrant, flawless existence.
Well, you are just sort of stuck in the mundane reality of your own life.
Yeah. If you have ever experienced that sudden drop in baseline happiness after a brief session online, you aren't imagining things.
Not at all. It is a documented phenomenon.
And today, we are going under the hood to figure out the mechanics of exactly why that happens.
It's an almost universal experience, yet in the moment, the architecture of the platform makes it feel incredibly isolating.
It really does. You feel like you're the only one struggling.
Right, or the only one missing out. But we will see today that this feeling of isolation amidst all this hyperconnectivity is actually by design rather than by accident.
Welcome to today's deep dive. I'll be your host as we explore a single, highly impactful source today.
I am here to help break it down. We're looking at a short but incredibly dense speech by a speaker named Alex.
Titled The Dark Side of Social Media Nobody Talks About.
It's a fascinating piece of work.
It really is. And the mission for our deep dive today is to unpack the hidden truth behind these apps we all love and use daily.
The hidden psychological and structural truths, specifically.
Yes, we'll explore the illusion of fake lifestyles, the mental toll of constant comparison, and the invisible algorithmic strings controlling our attention.
All to help you, the listener, understand the environment you are navigating.
So you can figure out how to take back control of your time and your mind.
What makes this source so compelling isn't just what it says, but how it breaks down our daily digital habits into recognizable, almost uncomfortable truths.
Uncomfortable is definitely the word. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Alex begins the speech by dissecting a concept that serves as the foundation for the entire digital ecosystem.
Fake lifestyles.
Right, fake lifestyles. Social media only feeds us the highlights. Perfect vacations, perfect meals, perfect selfies.
The text highlights a stark cognitive dissonance here. We are presented with a relentless stream of absolute highlights.
Flawless lighting, peak experiences.
Exactly. And our brains are asked to process that curated feed as a baseline reality.
I want to push on that for a second, though, because human beings have always curated their public image, haven't we?
Sure.
If you look at photo albums from 50 years ago, people weren't taking pictures of their messy garages.
Right, or their arguments. They took pictures of weddings.
Weddings, vacations, holidays. So what makes the current digital curation fundamentally different from those historical behaviors?
The difference lies entirely in the scale, the velocity, and the context of consumption.
How so?
Well, a physical photo album was brought out occasionally, usually in a social setting where the context was understood.
You knew you were looking at a highlight reel.
Precisely. Today, as the speech points out, this curation is injected directly into our mundane, everyday moments.
Yeah, that friction is real.
The text actually uses a great counterexample to illustrate this. It contrasts the pristine images on the feed with the immediate physical reality of the user.
The messy truth.
Yes. The speech specifically mentions things like spilled coffee on your kitchen counter.
Or a messy room that hasn't been cleaned.
Or just a bad day where absolutely nothing goes right. The speech emphasizes that we never see this messy real life on our feeds.
When you place those two realities side by side, the contrast is jarring.
Very.
You're sitting there looking at the spilled coffee, dealing with a bad day, and staring through a glass screen into a world where friction seemingly doesn't exist.
And because that unfiltered reality is systematically excluded from the ecosystem, it creates an environment where we are constantly comparing our behind-the-scenes footage with everyone else's highly produced marketing campaign.
I want to ask you, listening to us right now, to reflect on a specific quote from the text.
It's a powerful one.
Alex asks the audience, have you ever looked at someone's curated vacation photos and thought, why isn't my life like that?
The insidious nature of that question is that it frames the digital illusion as an achievable standard.
It sets up an unwinnable comparison game.
Exactly. You cannot compete with an illusion, yet the environment demands that you try. And when you engage in that comparison, you are actively eroding your satisfaction with your own life.
Which perfectly transitions us into the second major issue raised in the text.
The mental health toll.
Right. Depression, anxiety, and the tangible weight of this comparison trap.
What's fascinating here is how the source maps the psychological weight we place on incredibly small, standardized digital interactions.
like the exact number of likes or comments a post gets.
Yes. The text explicitly links the constant monitoring of these tiny metrics to severe emotional outcomes like stress, anxiety, and depression.
And we are talking about metrics that objectively require zero effort to generate.
A simple double tap on a screen.
A tiny number incrementing at the bottom of a post. Yet we treat those tiny integers as a legitimate currency for human value.
Think about the psychological burden of that. Carrying a live, fluctuating scoreboard of your social worth in your pocket.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
A lower than average metric on a post is no longer just data. It is interpreted by the user as a real-time referendum on their social standing.
Or their physical appearance.
Exactly. The source argues that outsourcing your self-esteem to a database fundamentally alters how you process your own identity.
And I love this point from the source because it's so critical. This isn't an accident.
Not at all.
The speech argues fiercely that this dynamic is not an accidental byproduct. The apps are specifically designed to make us constantly look at what everyone else has.
That shifts the analytical framework entirely. When we experience that anxiety, the default reaction is often self-blame.
We think we're just mentally fragile for caring about the metrics.
But the text suggests we're interacting with predictive engagement models built to exploit inherent human social dynamics. We are a social species.
We are hardwired to care about our standing in the tribe.
And the platforms simply weaponize that evolutionary trait for engagement.
They digitize the tribe and then put a scoreboard on it.
Yeah.
Which brings us to a crucial grounding quote from the speech.
Yes. Remember, your worth isn't measured by likes or followers.
It sounds so simple.
It's a necessary grounding statement, but implementing it is incredibly difficult.
Because within the closed ecosystem of the app, those metrics literally are the only recognized currency.
Exactly. The architecture of the space tells you that your worth is absolutely measured by those numbers.
So separating our internal self-worth from external digital validation becomes an active ongoing battle.
You are fighting the platform's default state.
Which brings us to the mechanics of how the platform actually operates. Here's where it gets really interesting.
The algorithm.
Yes. The speech moves into the most conceptual part of the argument, algorithmic control. This completely dismantles the idea that we are the ones directing our digital experience.
We culturally default to viewing social media as a passive tool we control.
Like a television or a newspaper.
Right. We assume we turn it on, we select the content, and we consume it at our leisure. We assume we have agency.
But the source explicitly states that social media isn't passive, and you are not fully in control.
The platform is dynamically assembling a unique reality tailored specifically to keep your individual nervous system engaged.
To understand how, we have to look at the specific emotional triggers the speech identifies.
Alex points out that the algorithm is constantly hunting for signals related to three things: anger, curiosity, and excitement.
I can easily understand curiosity and excitement, but anger feels counterintuitive if the goal is to keep someone on an app.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah, wouldn't a user just leave if they were furious?
From a purely physiological standpoint, anger is an incredibly activating emotion. It demands a response.
Okay, I see.
The algorithm functions as an advanced pattern recognition system. It doesn't distinguish between positive and negative feelings. It only measures engagement.
So if a post makes you angry, your heart rate elevates.
You linger on the screen longer, you might open the comment section to argue.
Or share it to express your outrage.
To the predictive model, that friction is indistinguishable from deep interest. The app learns what triggers these specific feelings in you and feeds you more of it to prevent you from leaving.
The machine just reads the data output. User lingered for 12 seconds instead of 3. Serve more of this exact stimulus.
Precisely. It learns the specific contours of your emotional triggers.
Which leads to what is undoubtedly the most striking analogy in the entire speech.
It's a profound reframing.
Alex says, in a way, the app is scrolling through you, deciding what you see instead of the other way around.
That completely inverts the power dynamic.
It really does. It suggests that while you think you are evaluating a piece of content, the platform is actually evaluating you.
Systematically probing your psychological defenses.
Measuring your immediate biological reactions to figure out how to bypass your rational brain.
So I'd encourage you, the listener, to ask yourself something the next time you pick up your phone.
Are you scrolling for fun, or is the app scrolling through you?
Recognizing that loss of agency is sobering, but the text does not leave the audience stranded there.
No, it pivots toward actionable frameworks for reclaiming your mind. And I want to ensure we represent the source's balanced viewpoint here.
Right. Alex is careful to state that social media isn't all bad.
It isn't inherently evil. It has the power to connect us, inspire us, and entertain us.
The critique is aimed at the methodology of consumption, not the existence of the network.
So what's the first step to taking back control?
The source identifies awareness as the crucial first step. You cannot untangle yourself from an invisible string until you realize it's attached to you.
And awareness here means actively taking a moment to notice how the apps actually make you feel.
Noticing the tightening in your chest or the drop in your mood when you encounter certain posts?
The speaker actually invited the live audience to comment and share their biggest struggles to spark a conversation.
It was a deliberate tactic to pierce the veil of isolation, encouraging people to publicize the friction the platform usually tries to hide.
By voicing the struggle, you realize your feelings of inadequacy aren't personal failings. They are the standardized outputs of a system operating as intended.
So then we move to taking action.
The text gives very actionable advice. Put down the phone for a bit. Create spatial distance between your physical body and the algorithmic feed.
Focus on your own life.
Engage with the uncurated, messy reality of your own world. Stay aware and stay in control so the algorithm doesn't run your life.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Alex distills the entire philosophical argument into one definitive thesis statement.
The golden rule of the speech.
Yes, comparison steals your joy.
When you allow an algorithm to constantly measure your lived reality against the mathematically optimized highlights of others, you're willingly participating in the theft of your own contentment.
You become so focused on the pristine reality projected on the screen that you lose the capacity to appreciate the reality you actually possess.
That's a powerful summary. Let's trace the journey of today's deep dive.
We covered incredible ground.
We navigated from recognizing the curated illusion of perfect selfies and meals to understanding the anxiety driven by follower counts.
Exposing how algorithms use our own anger and excitement to scroll through us.
And finally, looking at how to take back control through awareness and physical boundaries.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave the listener with a final, lingering thought, something built entirely on the foundations of the source text we just analyzed.
That's it.
The text established two key facts today. First, that we constantly compare our messy lives to the perfect highlights of others.
Right.
And second, that the algorithm tracks our emotional triggers like anger and curiosity to keep us hooked.
The core mechanics of the system.
Exactly. So consider this provocative question for you to mull over. If the algorithm knows exactly what triggers your emotions, is it possible that it eventually learns exactly which perfect highlights trigger your specific feelings of inadequacy?
Oh, wow.
Does it effectively use your own personal insecurities, whether about your career, your appearance, or your social life, as a tool to maximize your screen time?
That is a staggering implication. If it optimizes purely for the intensity of the reaction, it would inevitably discover that our own personal insecurities are the most reliable hooks of all.
It's definitely something to consider the next time you open an app.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. It's been incredibly eye-opening.
It really has.
To everyone listening, stay curious, stay aware, and mind the scroll until next time.